that has all the Occupy money. We don't want it in our names personally. And we did that on December 30th because it had to be done at the last minute. But if we understood it to be a temporary thing. So there's all this stuff about unincorporated something.
Association.
Unincorporated association. There's stuff we have to do that, which has to do, and we will have to get permission from the GA. We're going to have a mission statement, bylaws, and what else, Richard? And what else?
Did you say bylaws?
I said bylaws. Whatever they are, we have to have them. So that's coming. We're trying to figure it out. But it is not true that we are a non-functioning committee. Spread the word. That's it. Richard?
So, as you guys can see, we got hundreds and hundreds of pounds of food here. You know, I keep wanting you to see it because I know that sooner or later we'll realize that these are tools. We can have a 10-course meal tonight and invite the government of San Francisco for tomorrow at Civic Center and say, come out and learn who Occupy is. We're going to feed you. It's got a 10-course gourmet meal for you. Come out and enjoy. But we got to start doing this because I have no place to take this tonight.
You have to take it to a shelter.
That's really a shame.
Because who has a refrigerator? I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry. We're not supposed to talk, so okay.
You were still jumping stats.
Huh?
You were still jumping stats.
Oh, I didn't know.
You have to.
All right. So the All right, so the Gratitude Committee has consensus on a mission statement, and it is this: to facilitate the acquisition and distribution of rewards and benefits of non-monetary kinds to those deserving of appreciation. Just wanted to let everybody know, and people are going to be discussing how we can accomplish that, and we'll be establishing our own sort of bylaws, I guess, in the coming days in terms of facilitating that mission. We have been meeting sort of intermittently, and we're going to be setting up a Facebook page for conversation, and we'll set up another meeting to discuss things that we've been proposing.
Maria's next.
We have many complaints that the calendar in our website is not updated. So I'm gonna walk around for the next like 3-4 GAs, and I will talk personally with all of you to see what is your working group, where you meet, and what time, so we can update our calendar. And also, if you want to be part of OccupySF Media, talk to me. We already start working on great projects we have. We need some voiceover, so talk to me after if you're interested.
Email address? Do you want to? No.
Yeah, I will give you the email address. Is really actually too long.
Okay.
I wanted to add to what Maria said. Just yesterday, we solved the mystery of why people have been sending in the form for the request to put things on the calendar, and I haven't been doing it. And that's because since mid-January, it's all been going into my spam folder. So I didn't know I had it. So I fixed everything that was there, and we've tested it, and it's working. So you shouldn't have any problems with that in the future. And in the future, I'll check my spam folder.
Jeff? verbatim.
As a representative of the facilitators working group, I wanted first to say if everybody could try to make a point to try to get someone or themselves come to a facilitator working group, which happens 2 hours before every GA. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays it's at 4 and it's at 10 a.m. on Saturdays, depending on if GA is at 10 a.m. is it at noon on Saturdays. Also, if you're looking in a working group for someone to facilitate or something like that, get a hold of us. We can send people to your working group that can help you with facilitation to make your group run smoother and your meetings run a little less long and things be more organized. Or you can just come to one of our meetings and learn about the things that we're talking about, and it's not just about facilitating GA, it's about facilitating all of the Occupy groups and being there and working together, and so we can all put our energies where they're necessary and not have to bog ourselves down about who's facilitating and who's stack taking within our groups. So feel free to utilize facilitators for that. And hopefully we've been discussing about getting a list of people that have facilitated and that can facilitate. We of course ask that you don't hand pick certain people that are your facilitator, but that will let you know what types of people and who has done it, who has experience at it, who's doing it regularly, and who's available. Thank you.
Next from stack we have Richard, who seems to have walked away from the meeting.
Oh, I think he's organized.
He might have had to get his car or something.
And he might have said what he needed.
Is there anyone else with working group report next?
I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that nobody speaks on behalf of everyone.
Over here. Do I go without the working
So a brief intermission in the GA while there's a discussion on something. I'm not quite sure. What are we discussing?
I was just asking what he was talking
Oh.
about.
We occupied Cal University, used to be Berkeley today. OccupySF, Autonomous Actions Food Bank. Brought down a bunch of food to them. They were really appreciative. I think we're presenting as part of this presentation at Rainbow Grocery tomorrow. If anyone else wants to come out and participate, you're more than welcome. OccupySF's a participatory thing. Everyone's welcome to come out and voice there. But I'll be presenting to them the idea of this food bank as a decentralized network to feed Occupy and seeing if they're willing to support it. I also just got off a conference call for February 27th, which is National Day to Occupy the Food System. And in addition to a bunch of actions people are planning, people are going to do seed exchanges and seed banks that day. So we're thinking we might take it to phase 2 and have a seed bank that day where people can come out and give seeds to each other, trade seeds in hopes of occupying some land soon and starting to grow our own food. So that's what's happening with that.
Occupy Rachel, you're...
What times? Yeah.
The presentation tomorrow is either at 1 or 2 p.m. at Rainbow Grocery. 2 o'clock. Yeah.
Who's on that?
At Rainbow Grocery.
The address?
I don't.
At Occupy Rachel, there's probably, I don't know, 35 people here, is my guess.
Ryan's gonna be on the panel tomorrow. Outreach is doing a panel at Rainbow Grocery tomorrow, just to let you all know. And also, if anyone wants to come to an outreach meeting ever, it's at 7 o'clock on Wednesday at Rincon Center. And if any of you want to come, you can come see me or V or Richard. That's it.
Now it's time to dance.
Important information. Didn't the Rainbow Group ask us not to overwhelm them with people?
I just want to let everyone know. Be active, hanging out. No, you cannot go. It's only for Rainbow employees.
I can't hear you, Ben.
The rainbow presentation is only for rainbow employees. So I just wanted to let you all know about it, but you can't go to it.
Okay, Richard has an announcement to finish.
So to finish the announcement that I had, I really want everybody to understand that by bringing all this food, so you guys can see it, you understand that this is here for Occupy. If Occupy can't find a way to use this food, then we cut it, because where it comes from, it's either all or nothing. And what that does is that, like tonight, I got all this food, I got to find some place to take it, because we didn't put groups together to take it out to people that talked about Occupy, pass out flyers. We really need to do it, because this is a big load tonight, and it's getting harder and harder to manage. So we really need help. We need help in creating the outreach from Occupy so that we can feed people and put flyers in their hands. Bring them to us. Become part of Occupy, so we can grow this food. This is a great resource. This is good food. That's it.
We need a van. That's the first food.
We got cars. We got vehicles. I got between me and Shonda, we got 3 cars. Ashley has a truck. We got the vehicles. We saw the people willing to do it. We need bodies.
Okay, are there any more working group report backs? V?
There have been several groups that merged together into one to plan for the March 1st to March 5th mobilization / March to Sacramento. Confronting political power merged with Labor Solidarity working group, and we meet on Sundays at 12 noon, 2 hours before the Actions Council meets at the Celtic Coffee Shop. So if you're interested in preserving and defending public education and social services for the poor, the disabled, the elderly in California, come to the Confronting Political Power Working Group on Sunday at Celtic Coffee Shop at 12 noon.
Thank you, B.
Any other working group report backs? Okay, now, do we want to, as a body, have discussion before proposals, or proposals before discussion?
Proposal first.
Some kind of a discussion.
Whatever discussion we may have, like a allotted time for a discussion topic.
I would love to do
How does the group feel? Can I get a straw poll? Would they like to have discussion first or proposals?
Proposal.
Well, let's see, can I get a straw poll for proposals first?
Sure.
3, 4. Discussion first. 1, 2. Okay, it seems like proposals will come first before discussion. Now, Mike Goldman, I saw that you had a point of process before your
Yes.
for a proposal.
I have a point of process regarding a proposal that was brought at the last GA. And that proposal was brought on a time-sensitive basis. And part of that proposal may have been time-sensitive. And part of it was not. And therefore, I feel that it was improper. And I feel that this GA needs to consider that proposal and discuss it and decide whether they consent in that proposal. Because that proposal was to take $400 out of the bank account, 200 of which apparently was time sensitive to pay a bill, and 200 apparently of which was to go to petty cash. I don't believe petty cash is time sensitive, and I feel that that needed to come back to this GA.
Can they explain something?
Huh?
Is it useful to explain something about that? Or
That would be, I think she wants a,
Direct response, if you have a point of information.
Yes,
You have a point of
I do. Because of what I explained about not having our account the way we intend to in the future,
Yes? Can you speak so everyone can hear you?
yeah. It was a matter of efficiency to not have to go to the bank, walk to the bank, unfreeze the account for that part of the money, freeze it again, and then come back the next time and do it. So that was why. It hasn't been used the petty cash is there in case it's needed. So that's why it happened. It was an issue of efficiency, but I understand on principle you're saying that part could have waited.
I feel that part needed to wait. I feel that that part was improper, to not allow the proper consideration of the GA over the time period that we allot for proposals. And I do feel that that proposal was improperly granted because we didn't have that period of consideration. So as to how the GA needs to address it, I leave that somewhat open to some discussion, and I hope other people can speak to whatever they feel about it as well.
Okay.
Okay, so as a group, I would like to get a kind of a look to see who objects or has any opinion objects to his point of process. Any objections to his point of process?
I think it needs to be restated. I'm unclear what it is.
My point of process is that we have a process for proposals to be consented upon. That process is that 3 or more people have to be in agreement before it's presented. It has to be in writing. It has to be presented at 1 GA and then tabled. And then it needs to be brought back to the next GA and consents. And I feel that unless this GA consensus in that decision, that was not properly yet consensed. I feel that it was not a time-sensitive proposal, at least that portion of the proposal, and that therefore it was not properly vetted by discussion over the period of time allotted. So I would ask perhaps that the proposers maybe propose. I would ask maybe you can propose some sort of language for this GA, or for maybe that to be addressed. Maybe to even propose something to be brought back to the next GA to say what is done with the petty cash, or how that
For the future. To set it up for the future.
I feel we need to have a vote of some kind that says, or a consensus here tonight, that everything is okay with the finances. Otherwise, the finances need to be frozen until the GA has control over the finances.
Okay.
And I feel that the GA was bypassed because the process was not followed.
Is that all right? May I? The point of process. You know what? Never mind. I don't even want to get in this one. I don't even want to get in this one. Never mind.
Okay, so Michael, how should we go about this?
That's what I was about to wonder.
I would really appreciate your point of view.
Yeah, I remember bringing that. We came to consensus in the. We approved it as a finance committee, and we needed the GA's approval. So we brought it, and James thought that it was an emergency, and James argued that it was an emergency. I basically, once I looked at it, I was like, it's not really an emergency, but so then the facilitator led it up to the GA, and the GA, I think almost unanimously agreed that they thought it was an emergency because they didn't want to risk his bill going over.
Yes.
And there was no objection to, because it came as just the $400 for that and for petty cash. There was no objection. It just didn't really come to anyone's mind. Really, it's just we don't want to go to the bank, every single day. And indeed, you have a point, but clearly, I don't think there was any ill will or any negligence. I just think it was a matter of just general expediency that we needed the money from the bank. I mean, I think we were kind of splitting hairs.
Shall I respond? One of the other staff.
Susan has a response, and then
It sounds like at the heart of this is that you have an objection. That I want to know if you have questions about the use of money or just the way that was handled? Because if you have something that you're concerned about, I want to hear it. I think we should hear it.
I think I'm expressing my concern.
So it's about the
It's
process that was used.
The
Okay.
process was not followed, and I feel, and I want, exactly, that's the process that should have happened. Half of that should have been tabled and should have been brought back. And I understand that people may want to do things efficiently, but there's a process, and that process is inefficient sometimes, and it makes people sometimes have to do things in ways that are less convenient to them, and I recognize that's uncomfortable sometimes, but I think it's important that we follow a process.
So I think most of the
GA
people in this circle cannot hear this conversation
Okay.
that's been going on.
I was trying to speak as loud as I could.
Yeah, I can repeat it if you like.
Mic check?
Yeah, I can't hear it over there at all.
Okay, so we've heard some expressed concerns about the process in which the proposal was pushed through General Assembly, saying that in the way that our system is set up, we should have tabled it afterwards, or at least tabled the portion about petty cash, even though, because we had agreed that the bill was an emergency, which he's okay with. So what now does the General Assembly, okay, Derek, you have a point of process?
Point of process, this is a discussion topic, not a proposal. A proposal is something we need to consensus upon in the
It's a
General
point of
Assembly.
process of the
Mike's statement is a discussion topic. It's not a proposal. We consensus upon, or we did a straw poll, and we are going to proposals. What Mike is talking about is a discussion topic.
I don't agree. It's a point of process that I raised, and I don't know how we solve that point of process right now. So the question is,
We're on proposals right
I
now.
understand. That was a proposal from last night. That proposal, or from last meeting, and that proposal was not properly consensed. So I feel that proposal needs to be brought back somehow. We need to vote on that proposal tonight somehow, or that needs to be remediated somehow, because I don't feel that it was properly, the process was followed. So now there's $200, which we have not consensed as a proper process, that is now somehow out of the bank account and in the petty cash. So I guess we need a proposal. I would hope for one. I would welcome a proposal from finance that would address this, that would say something to the effect that we consent that $200 is in petty cash now, and how that accounting is going to be made, and that in the future it won't be done without properly tabling.
Immediately.
So I invite a proposal of that nature.
Yeah.
That-
And by the way, here's the bill.
I'll propose it.
So hold on, I'll give it.
I gotta get.
Yeah, you guys may want to. So I'll
will.
table this then and allow them to consider that.
If anything is
Okay.
I'll be happy to table this until a proposal can be addressed, and I think hopefully they can come up with something.
I sign.
Okay, so the point of process did bring up an issue about our process, so hopefully now we have the ability to solve that problem without interrupting GA too badly. Now let's move on to, were there any proposals from last Tuesday that want to be consensus upon today that were tabled? I believe there was a couple that, I don't have the list on me, that were brought last Tuesday that were tabled. Does anybody have them here tonight?
Okay.
No?
I know there was the one about the pillow fight.
Yeah, there was the pillow fight one. There was the that one was consensus upon. That was brought up as a point of process. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else?
Can I make an announcement real quick? Since we're waiting.
I guess.
The Sprint bill was paid in full. Where is finance? Here's the Sprint copy of the bill.
Okay. Any new proposals? Nobody has any new proposals? Well, I guess we don't have to do any consenting tonight.
those things are loud. That's like noise pollution. Well, here we got Scud working on For Your Eyes Only stuff. We'll walk away. Here's our pickup vehicle for the food. I think Richard's gonna go drop it off somewhere. He's gonna try to find some people. Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Pretty good. What about you?
I'm working. Feeling good?
Sounds good.
All right. So we'll get back in here and see what's going on with this.
Okay.
Although I didn't think it was an emergency, so I was willing to table the whole thing.
All right.
An outstanding issue.
Okay, so now that we don't have any proposals or old or new, let's move on to a discussion topic. Does anyone have any discussion topic or discussion ideas on how they would like to facilitate that discussion? Ben, do you have one?
I just have an idea for discussion topic. Is there a big difference between Occupy Oakland and Occupy San Francisco?
Is there, or
is there a difference? Is there a big difference? Is there no difference?
I got a discussion topic.
Susan and then James. Oh, go first.
I was just going to suggest the topic of black bloc.
Yes. Black bloc.
Yes.
What about it?
Yeah, is there anything specific? Or
Just generally feelings, concerns, ideas, things like that.
The topic I have is, what is Occupy San Francisco's responsibility to the campers, and what is the campers' responsibility to Occupy San Francisco?
Okay, we'll have Jacques, Ryan, and
What are we discussing right now?
Topics for discussion.
a couple of topic discussions that you can throw out. Yeah.
Okay, so the topic I'm proposing is the suppression of the Occupy movement. What that means is the nationally coordinated violent crackdown, coordinated nationally, culminating in the elimination of the camps, and the nationally agreed upon media slur campaign, polarizing people against Occupy. I also have supplementary materials to go along with the discussion.
Ryan?
I guess I'll just take a straw poll, see if people are interested in endorsing this Occupy the Food System. February 27th day, it was a national call out from Occupy Wall Street as OccupySF, or if they'd rather the Permaculture Working Group or Autonomous Action work on that and then form an event. If OccupySF looks like they are interested in it, then I'll probably bring a proposal next GA to actually officially endorse that day of action. If you guys aren't interested in it, then we'll just work on it as the Permaculture Working Group or Autonomous Action Working Group.
Can we get a straw poll on who would be interested in that discussion? Or endorsement?
Is anyone interested in OccupySF officially endorsing the national call from Occupy Wall Street to occupy the food system on February 27th?
A quick straw poll. Looks like you get okay, as far as discussion topics, we have the difference between Occupy Oakland and OSF. Okay. Black bloc. Responsibility of campers and OSF and vice versa. Suppression of Occupy and. Huh? Yeah. Priority of presence at 101. Can we get a straw poll on who would like to You can only vote once. And do we need to hear the discussion topics again?
Yeah.
Yeah. The difference between Occupy Oakland and OSF. Black bloc. OSF responsibilities to campers and vice versa. Suppression of Occupy. OSF's interest in scratch that. Priority of presence at 101. So, for the difference between Occupy Oakland and OSF, how many people would like to discuss that? The difference between OO and OSF? It doesn't seem like there's any votes.
It seems like it's
Black Bloc's next vote. 1, 2. Okay. A couple of votes.
That was 3.
OSF, 3 votes. OSF responsibilities to campers and vice versa. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Anybody else? Priority of presence at 101. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it seems like priority of presence at 101 seems like, huh? Oh yeah, and suppression of the Occupy movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You can only vote once.
Either way, there was still more votes for the priority of our presence at 101. Now, in terms of how would you like to see this discussion laid out?
I'm gonna circle back.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I don't have it.
Food?
Okay, we have a quick announcement.
If you have a home and a refrigerator with room, there's food to take home and refrigerate so that we can use it, because no one person can store it all. So come on over there and say if you can, so that Chandra can leave.
Anyone with a refrigerator, a home, anything that could even store a small portion is going to be useful. Anyone, before they go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we start a stack for anyone who would like to speak on the presence of priority at 101? Derek? Anyone else? Ben? Okay. And if you would like to get on stack, you can talk to Rick. Richard. Okay.
So I wrote up a small essay and I gave it to somebody and I haven't seen it since. So the reasons I think we should have a presence at 101 are historical. First, this is the place where we most had our fastest growth. We went from 20 people to 130 in less than a week. We also had was the last place of our encampments. It was the last place we held. Second, the 101 is where the Federal Reserve Bank is, and the Federal Reserve Bank is a very strategical target because it has great leverage in our economic system. And third, we need a centralized place where Occupy San Francisco can communicate with the community and also within itself, because we're splitting up so badly that we can't talk to each other anymore. There's 16 working groups plus that I know of, and I know there's more. So I think we do need a heavy, or at least a presence here at 101, or a better presence at a centralized place. It doesn't matter where it is to me as long as our General Assembly knows where it is.
Next on stack. And
So I think it's really important for us to be here because we're lucky in Oakland. They don't have a Federal Reserve Bank to occupy in front of. But I also wonder sometimes, and I don't know how I feel about this, but sometimes I think it might be easier to have our General Assembly at the ice skating rink or somewhere else because the streetcars are so loud. We have to stand up for such a long time. The police can get us for sit lie and all that stuff. So I don't know how I feel about that, but I just want to know how other people feel about that. Maybe having it at the ice rink or somewhere else.
Raul. Then Ryan.
Yeah.
Raul.
Yeah, the presence here is terribly important. It's when we disappear, I consider here and Bradley Manning Plaza to be the actual Occupy SF, and we don't have Manning Plaza currently. I believe the idea is to eventually like take little steps towards reoccupying down to there, and probably here too. But it stirs people up to see there's still Occupy existent in 3 dimensions in front of the federal building. It's terribly important. We have a lot of great talent that comes down here in the daytime, and I intend to get a little more support for them, like an art basket, so they can like lavish some signs out here and make it a little more aesthetic looking. I'm gonna have to run that through Treasury, a requisition form. And this is, like, so far as I'm concerned, this is the movement. This is the movement right here.
Okay. Richard.
So where are we at in this discussion on the presence here?
Yeah.
Presence.
How important is it?
I think it's very important because that's why I bring food down here, is to feed us. So I'm definitely in favor of keeping this, keeping 101 so we can meet here and eat, grow the movement. Kind of like ground zero. That's my 2 cents.
I like it here for 2 reasons. One is it's right across the street. Actually, 3 reasons. One is it's right across the street from the Southern Pacific Company, which is the basis of a precedent setting law about corporate personhood that was started by the county of Santa Clara versus the Southern Pacific Railroad way back in 18-something. And then 2, because we're right in the middle of some of the biggest banks. There's Wells Fargo Bank there, there's Citibank there, and there's Bank of America there. Oh, and also U.S. Bank there. This is Financial District Central. And then the 3rd reason I like it here is because this is where all the mass transit meets. We got Muni right there, Muni Metro underneath. We've got BART, we've got cable car, and then we've got the ferry coming over for the buildings. And this is a good location for Oakland people and Berkeley people to come here. They don't have to take the train all the way to 2 windy stops. It's just like the first stop in San Francisco. So it's a great meeting place for all of the surrounding areas.
Yeah, like they want to do stuff on it.
I think, and I'm glad that everybody that I just heard talking, I think said it so well. I think we still sometimes don't see how important it is to be here, and you said it so correctly. We are in the heart, not just in San Francisco, the financial place on the entire planet where they do all this corruption, and we are here. So I will also invite all the groups. Derek just said that there is more than like 16 groups, working groups, to try to have at least once a week their meetings here. I know it's cold, it's noisy, it's probably not the best place, but we need to be here. We need to be here. So I hope that your next meeting is gonna be 101 Market Street to support the movement. As Raul said, this is the movement. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Well, I want to second what most of the other folks said, and just a couple other things. Sit-lie law applies to the whole city, so anywhere in San Francisco. Don't interrupt, please. The sit-law lie does apply to the entire city of San Francisco. That's a fact. So it doesn't matter whether we go there or here. And it is a bit harder to find people over there. It's a bit noisy here, but I really have been having a lot of trouble chasing these work groups all over town. Whereas when I come here, I just randomly wandered into one and found out where things are happening, which I have not been able to do by any other channel recently. So if people would meet here, then, I mean, it would make it a lot easier. So yeah, I'm just seconding what most people said.
Okay, Chris has a point of information.
Point of information, sit-lie only applies to public sidewalks. It does not apply to privately owned area like the Embarcadero Center area. It does not apply to parks. It only applies to civic sidewalks.
They have other laws that they can harass us with, right?
But yeah, sit-lie doesn't specifically apply to either of those places over there.
And then we have Chris.
I think what we should do is what it's been before when we had the camp there, is keep our meetings down there where it's quieter and we can sit down, we won't be harassed by sit-lie back at BMP, which would also create a larger presence here of protesters or people just being here occupying space. If everybody's meeting there for all their meetings, it's just going to create more people to be here anyway, along with everybody else saying it's just going to make it easier to find things, easier for people to meet up, easier for communications to happen, everything. And then that way we're holding both spaces still. We're holding BMP and here without camping, as they would say, or being here all the time. So we'd still be utilizing both space until we can take it back as need be.
I was going to say this front line, but...
Hey! Abuse! 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 Hey, he threatened me! I heard it! He said he was gonna put me out! I'm on blood thinners! He could kill me if he tried to hit me! I don't care! It's just an empty threat! That has no place here!
No, chill out.
I'm fucking Tourette's.
He's leaving. Grab your shit.
I'm in the process of doing.
I got it.
Another night in San Francisco. You never know what's going to happen. So we'll take a brief intermission and come over here. Come on over here, man. So
San Francisco is the land of the fruits and nuts.
you guys certainly can.
I think the young man has like a syndrome or something. He was just speaking out about it, Tourette's or something. So you got to understand that like Occupy is everyone, and so we have to take care of everyone that has all kinds of issues. So that's why we need more people down here, especially One Love people, you know, so we can make this happen for the right reasons and help out each other, like the youngster right now.
I don't know, man.
Or you everyone? Yeah.
Hey, Jane, it's Richard.
I don't believe people with masks who threaten wearing masks already makes them suspect in my eyes. Tourette's my ass. I know Tourette's. I ain't fucking Tourette's.
What did he say to you?
He said, I was going to say this before, but I'm going to fuck
Is
you
it?
up.
All right.
Sure feel it was. He's got schizophrenia.
Yeah, he's
The-
got problems, too.
Yeah.
I've seen the kid around for a while. He's
He's
not
a good kid.
He's a good
Nothing's
kid.
an
He just,
It doesn't justify him or nothing. I'm not saying justify the
My
move.
blood doesn't clot
Yeah.
properly. One punch and I'm down.
It won't hurt you. It's not some problem, but I'm sorry. It's justified.
Because he said something and I said don't interrupt.
I don't know. He said something to him. That's what he says, but I don't know.
Okay, the second.
Okay, I'm done. Yeah.
The second topic discussion that had a lot of interest was Black Bloc. Ironically, so anybody would like to start that discussion?
So people who cover their face and don't participate in a consensual process are a threat to people with poor health like myself, and in my opinion, a threat to our entire movement. I don't think anybody who comes with their face covered, unless there's some special condition like tear gas or something, is already suspicious to me. Threats of violence are not anarchism, they are coercive behavior. Anybody who engages in threats or non-consensual non-consensual acts of property destruction have no place in their movement. They're not anarchists, they're not us, they're not doing what we're doing. That's what I believe. And we need to deal with it in some concrete way.
Derek? Or Jeff?
Yeah, I just want to throw something out there. I feel like we have so much food, and we have this conversation going on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 6. So we should like flyer the city and let everybody know that there's a meal, a group meal, you know, and a conversation called the General Assembly happening every Tuesday and Thursday night at 6, and just flyer all the neighborhoods, get as many people as possible here. And then like we gotta love everybody. So as far as the Black Bloc thing, I mean, if we have more one love people vibration here, then we have a better way of dealing with the violent, you know, slant that the whole society's going through, not just the kids down here that are super frustrated that have some issues because they grew up in this stuff.
Okay, next we have Derek.
So I wear a mask sometimes, but I'm not Black Bloc, and I do it to hide my identity every now and then, to off-put people who don't know me in different occupies. But here where I'm known and where I talk to people, they know who I am. So if I see somebody I know, I talk to them. But one of my rules is I protect children and elders or differently abled people. And to me, the mask doesn't help when you're trying to be peaceful because people don't know who you are. So you have to already be inside the community to be anonymous on purpose within your group. And the group that is here knows who you are. It's the people outside the group that don't know who you are. So these are public people to me. And if I have a mask on in another Occupy, then I'll say who I am to the people I know and to people who are taking care of children, the security teams at those Occupies, and anybody else who needs that information. But I wear a mask sometimes.
Get him, David.
Look, when the security state, the national security state has surveillance cameras all over the place, and the authorities are known to go after people who are on their photographs, I think wearing a mask may well simply be self-protection. There are people who are working jobs at some of these institutions that we're against, and they cannot reveal their face. So I respect what you're saying, but I think wearing a mask is an act of self-protection, which overlaps with, but is separate from the Black Bloc. Black Bloc disturbs me because I think a lot of the participants in Black Bloc behavior think that fighting the police is a strategy. And in the 60s, we went down that road. and it was romantic, and it was adventurous, and people got a lot of excitement about it, but ultimately it crashed our movement. When the Weather Underground thought that if we only set an example to the people of color and the working class people by showing how we were willing to stand up, blah, 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 the movement got smaller and smaller and more irrelevant. And I don't want to go down that road again. I'm not nonviolent by nature. I'm not necessarily nonviolent in my politics. I think at this particular juncture, it's important to keep nonviolence as a strategic, what am I trying to say? At this point, I don't see any strategic value for either destruction of property or for hand-to-hand fighting with others. The other thing is the black bloc in thinking, tongue-tied. The black bloc in proposing, or others in proposing, street fighting as our tactics or as our strategy, is picking a terrain that is not our terrain. It is the cops' terrain. They have had training after training on how to deal with big crowds. They work with the military. The military provides them with all sorts of fancy weapons precisely for crowd control. They practice on the Iraqis. They practice on the Afghanis. And then they come here and they do the same old shit. That is not a terrain where we are strategically or tactically prepared to engage. It's suicidal. And I don't want to see our movement become suicidal.
Okay, reminder, if you want to get on stack, let me or Ricardo know. Next on stack is Mike Goldman.
I want to second what David was saying about the black bloc, which is distinct from people that may be wearing a mask for another reason. When somebody is part of a gang of people all wearing black and engaging in acts of property destruction, that allows for a disproportionate force response to be brought against us and for really a negative impact on the movement. And I do not believe that we are a violent movement, and I think that any movement that does prevail by violence has to rule by violence. And so meet the new boss, same as the old boss. You know, we're not going to get the kind of system that we want through violence. So as much as I understand people may engage in personal acts of self-defense or whatever that may be, as a strategy for this movement, we should not be associating ourselves with violence, and that we should stand aside from. As far as strategic acts to enter properties and things like that when necessary, you know, I do have to distinguish that in some cases from violence, but that's distinguished from black bloc, and I want to make that clear.
Okay, next on stack we have Lee. Lee?
It's my turn?
Yeah.
So in terms of black bloc as a strategy, I've seen cops try to arrest protesters and people that are dressed in the black bloc gear for the black bloc tag. I've seen them unarrest protesters. We've done that here. I've seen black bloc people pick up tear gas grenades and throw them back towards the cops, keeping the gas away from the elderly, away from children that are otherwise being attacked. And I think I've seen black blocs have shields that also block police projectiles and flashbangs to protect the crowd. And that's what it's about. It's about protecting the crowd and against the violence of the police. I think the media takes that and blows it totally out of proportion. But the reality is the violence that comes from the police and capitalism every day, destroying the earth, destroying our rights, destroying people's lives, especially in poor people and low-income communities and people of color and the homeless that face police brutality and violence on an everyday basis. So now we're seeing protesters and people from the middle class starting to feel police brutality through Occupy, so you're seeing the police issue get wider spread attention. But I think black bloc is a very good, effective tactic, and it helps protect peaceful protesters.
Okay. Next we have Bell.
Okay, I'm also somebody with experience from the 60s, and it did not work. That's the bottom line. And I've seen a lot of actions
where I have actually been a medic in the front, and somebody throws a rock from the back. I consider that the black bloc. They're cowards. They're using our defenseless bodies to carry on their acts. If they want to do those things, they should be out front and do them on their own. Now, I understand spontaneous violence when you're gassed. Unfortunately, that may be a part of life, but not the cowardice of using all of us as their shield.
Okay, next we have Ryan.
So I think what people are criticizing is individuals' actions. And instead of criticizing certain individuals for their actions, such as being violent or throwing a rock, they're criticizing an entire tactic, which is really silly. That's like me criticizing the Occupy movement for something that one person did. Okay, so when an individual throws a rock or an individual instigates violence, that is to be criticized. That's something that can be criticized internally within a black bloc, within a protest, or from the outside like we're doing right now. The black bloc as a tactic can exist without having any violence or militancy as part of it, which is what failed in the 60s. It was militancy and violence. It was not anonymity, which is what the black bloc tries to do. So basically, you could have a black bloc of 100 people. If everyone looks exactly the same, one individual can run out of that block and graffiti a stencil on the Bank of America and run back into the block, and the police say, get the guy wearing the black pants, the black hood, the black mask, and they don't know who it is, so they can't just go charge someone with the crime because they can't identify them. That's the purpose of the black bloc, is to allow people to participate in direct action and not get caught by the police state and the surveillance state. It is not to allow people to do violent acts because they're in a mass. That's not the point. That's what a few individuals do, and your criticisms of those individuals are completely correct. But let's criticize those people, those individuals, not a tactic.
Okay, I'm going to allow for a few more direct, and then we'll do a temperature check. So, Mike,
Just as a point of information, you can't criticize those individuals because you don't know who they are. And when you create an environment which welcomes people who may be violent and may be agent provocateurs from the police sent to create a reason to believe that we are a violent movement, I think that you can't avoid them penetrating your black bloc because you've created a black bloc where everybody is anonymous.
You can, but you can call them out. Unmask them.
So, yeah, I was basically going to say the same thing. Here, if one individual goes out of line, we can say the guy with the dreadlocks and the plaid shirt did this crazy thing, let's call him on it. But when they're all dressed exactly the same, you can't do that. And if they're behaving violently, I don't feel safe confronting them unless I'm with a big group of people I know will support me. So there's really no strategy I can see to deal with it.
next we have Jedi.
Where's my backpack?
I believe that whatever tactics that we take, or whatever means that we try to do or we have within a system of fighting the system, it can be used against us. I think it's a good idea to protect ourselves in our protests and make sure that we can protest. So, I mean, I personally don't attack any tactics, but we sometimes are becoming a little bit less focused on what we're really here to do. The police, they're an obstacle, and they're also another war to fight if we want to fight that. But we're all here to protest the big picture, and I hope that we don't lose sight of that doing anti-police rallies. Thank you.
So on January 20th, on our march that started here, I was right behind the Black Bloc, and and I'm sorry, the Black Bloc, like Ryan said, it's not a group. It's actually a protest tactic that anybody can use. And like Zagam said, some of the things are really great, like unarresting people or protecting the crowd. I think that's different from destroying property or hurting police officers, even though they hurt us a lot. But I marched right behind them. I remember Zagam was on the megaphone saying, "Show me what democracy looks like." and the black bloc participants in front of me, I don't think Zagam heard it, but they were yelling at him. They're like, "It looks like capitalism. We hate democracy. This is not what we want." And I'd really like to talk with these black bloc people. I'd like to get to know them more, but I seriously think that they should be getting paid by the FBI because they're doing their work for them when they break windows and stuff like that. And I think the FBI
in some cases
is either encouraging them or is paying some of them or is some of them. And I'm sure that's not all of them, but they're surely doing their work for them when they break windows and do stuff like that because it scares regular people. It scares the 99%. I talk with people and they say, "I love you guys, but I'm scared of going to an Occupy action. I don't want to get hurt."
Okay, so okay. Well, I know, but this needs a note taker. Well, okay. So who's next on staff? All right. So we have speak.
I think that like underlying all of this is like a conversation about violence. I mean, I've heard a lot of like, okay, I see a lot of violence in the day-to-day life around us. I see violence in people not being able to get food, people not being able to get shelter. I don't see violence in a window breaking, especially a window that's going to be paid for that same day by nobody losing their meal over it. I'm not a fan of breaking windows personally, but like if we're talking about them doing like the police's work about scaring the people, you know, I mean, it comes down to an issue of like populism versus justice. I believe in a broader degree of justice, and I think that like if our tactics sometimes scare some people, so be it. I mean, it's a bigger struggle than just like making everybody feel comfortable and happy. That's all I got.
NPR is very strong.
Mike said that maybe the FBI should pay people doing some of that stuff because they're doing their work. Let me give a specific example. The Black Bloc first rose in the U.S., I believe, up in Seattle in 1999. The Black Bloc was there. They started breaking a lot of corporate windows. The police ignored that, but used it as an excuse to start arresting nuns and people sitting down peacefully in front of access to the WTO, preventing delegates from going in. They allowed the Black Bloc to do what they were doing to give a justification for moving on people who were being pretty much nonviolent. That tells me something. I have good friends in the Oakland movement who are part of the Diversity of Tactics crowd. I said to one of them, "What do I make of the fact that some of your comrades in Diversity of Tactics are advocating the same thing that the agents provocateurs advocate? How do I handle that?" He had no answer. The problem with breaking a window is it doesn't do shit to their bottom line, and it comes across as a temper tantrum. Excuse me for repeating examples that many of you have heard from me before. In 1989, an anti-war protester sitting on the railroad tracks to prevent the shipment of arms to the Concord Naval Weapons Base. The train, seeing him on the track, some people thought it did not slow down. Some people thought it sped up. It ran over the comrade, severing two of his legs. That Saturday, there was a big march at the base. A number of us, including me, arrived with crowbars. We destroyed something like a mile of railroad track. I am proud of the fact that we destroyed property. But breaking a window, it's childish. It has no strategic value. It has no poetry to it. It comes across to us, I think, and certainly to the crowd, of what the fuck's the point? Whereas when you move on something that has some connection to the crime or the issue that you're talking about, breaking into a house that's been illegally foreclosed, destruction of property straight out, yes, let's do it. Breaking a bank window, what is the point?
Response?
Huh? Nah. Quick response? You can go ahead with your quick response and then you can speak next.
For me, I think, look, I'm not, that particular tactic is not necessarily like my favorite tactic, but like, I think that tactic and tactics like it's sort of, they show that you're not playing by their rules, that you can break outside of what they say is proper behavior. I agree it's probably not the best, it's not the most poetic, it's true, but it's saying like, no, really, these are our streets. And also, I mean, it's true they use the black bloc in Seattle as justification to arrest other people. But I mean, at Kent State they just fired on the crowd, and there was no black bloc. This black bloc hadn't been invented yet. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, whether we give them an excuse to or not. Like they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Okay, well, during the first invasion of Iran, which I believe was in 1989, we were demonstrating constantly, marching up and down the street, much bigger than we do now. And there was this maybe proto-Black Bloc group that had PLO bandanas instead of black bandanas. And they marched through my neighborhood in the Tenderloin, and they were starting to start a dumpster fire that I could see could easily spread to a lot of low-income housing. And in those days, being healthy and more self-confident, I got in their face and yelled at them that this was a poor, low-income neighborhood. And I was successful, and they did go trash Macy's, whatever. But this is what I'm talking about, just this non-discriminate, no target, just blind. There's actually a word for it going back to the 19th century called nihilism, which is destroying the present society without any plan for how to rebuild it. Dostoevsky coined it. So.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wants to partake in this discussion and get on stack? Okay. Well, Richard has brought a proposal to me claiming its time sensitivity. I would like him to read it and make the proposal. You can read your proposal and claim its time sensitivity.
Yep. So we got too much food, guys, and we have 2 refrigerators at Ashley's house. So the problem is we got not enough refrigeration for Occupy food. The problem resolution is buy a used refrigerator for Ashley's house to store the additional food that her 2 refrigerators now can't hold. And it's going to cost somewhere around $200-300 maximum to get a big one. So because we want to make sure people don't get sick. So we need healthy food here, and it's time sensitive because we're overflowing now. So we want to take care of that. That's my proposal.
How much is it?
$200-300. We're going to research it online. Anybody can help us find one? Great. Let's get a good refrigerator that holds a lot of food. Anybody wants to help get it? Fine.
So we have a place to put it. There's the hemp center on
12th and Geary.
They just got rid of a huge refrigerator sitting on the street.
Yeah, Kathleen doesn't make return calls. I've had a message in there for 2 weeks.
Oh no, well it's there. The Salvation Army picked it up though. The Salvation Army right on Geary, and I'm not sure the cross street is. They have it now. I don't know if they still want to donate it. They could donate it, or